Good evening everybody and welcome to new stream on Tuesday. Why is this camera looking blurry? Let's have a little look. That's better. That is better. Thank you, camera, for being better. Welcome. New stream. So, not too sure what I'm going to call this Tuesday night stream, but this is the kind of thing it's going to be. There's no painting. Going to leave that for Sunday. Tonight is going to be all about chatting about the hobby. Tonight we're really going to be looking at sort of 10th edition, the new Terminators, but in future streams it'll be more sort of chatting, hobby roundup, sort of chatting hobby stuff, that kind of thing. So if you've got a cool name for this segment, drop it in the comments and let me know. Maybe coffee with Pointy, because I will be drinking coffee. Lots of it. I also have some nibbles. But yeah. So we're gonna jump in. How's the stream looking? Excellent condition. Good. Hello, Mr. Kyle. Hello. I really should do an Instagram post and say that I'm live on YouTube, shouldn't I? Maybe not use the Sam Smith picture. Might not be appropriate because he looks like a fucking ham. Well, we'll use that one. YouTube. I like the blue colour now. How are you, dude? How are you? Sorry, doing socials. Should have done that before hitting the live button. Done. Very quick, very easy. Right, let's have a little looky. Right, what we got? So, that's not the right. I think it's the back of that. There we go. That's what we want. So we're gonna look at 10th. We'll jump into the Terminators because the Terminators. These show up some pretty interesting things that 40k is going to have. Like, really, some quite interesting changes. And they're very subtle changes as well. So, we'll go through it. So, first things first, we've got the data sheet for the Terminators. And straight away, you will notice, down in the bottom right-hand corner, invulnerable save 4+. Now, that's huge. That's huge. And it instantly makes me ask, how is Storm Shield's going to work? Is that going to be an additional +1 to your invulnerable save? Or is it going to just be replace that invulnerable save with something else? So there's a lot of interesting questions around that. But the fact that Terminators are now 3 wounds, toughness 5, Death Guard players have got a lot of questions, and it's got a 4-up invulnerable base. Like, that's literal base. Interesting to see what the points are going to be. And, yeah. Terminators are looking pretty spicy straight off the bat. Straight off the bat. They are looking quite nice. So, we have... they're only movement 5, which is fine, and they're leadership 6, which apparently, according to the article, is quite good. So... that's not bad. So now the one thing that I have noticed is there's a severe lack of AP on the weapons. A lot of the weapon systems currently in 9th, like the lot of the Primaris bolters and bolt weaponry, are all like -1 AP. But so far from the Intercessor article that we can jump into after this, they seem to have pulled armor penetration back quite a lot. Because like there's the assault cannon, which is strength 6, but has 0 AP. Now, devastating wounds. I'd be interested to see what that does. I have a feeling that critical wounds that they talk about is basically going to be mortal wounds. I think that's what that's going to be. So if you roll a 6 to hit, you'll cause a mortal wound, and that'll be it, rather than normal damage. I'm going to assume that that's how that's going to work, because we have lots of little keywords now. So devastating wounds, which they haven't gone into, but they said they will later on. Blast for the cyclone missile launcher. 2d6 attacks, nice. Hitting on 3s, strength 4, no AP but 1 damage, and then flak, strength 9. That's increased. It used to be strength 8, AP 2, d6 damage. Flamers ignores cover and taunt, and Storm Bolters are rapid fire 2, which means at 12 inches they'll have 4 shots, which is kind of cool. They do go on to talk about the anti-rule, anti-vehicle, anti-this and anti-that. Here's the rapid fire, which is basically what rapid fire is now, so it's not really changing. But the anti-rule is kind of interesting. Now this here, the critical hit, the critical wound, is what I'm intrigued about, because on the Terminators, it's a 3+. So if I'm reading this correctly, you'll roll to hit, and then if you roll to wound equal to or higher than what the critical, then the anti thing is. So 3+ in the regards to the chain fist for a vehicle, you'll cause a critical wound. Don't know what that is, so not sure what that is at all. So it should be interesting. So yeah, they're pretty good. Pretty good. And obviously the teleport homer, which I believe this is the new layout for the stratagems, which is cool. When this is a core stratagem, which means that it's not a Space Marine stratagem, it's a core stratagem. Interesting. 1 unit from your army that is in reserve. It costs 1 CP. You can arrive as if on a reinforcement step. You cannot use a stratagem to enable a unit to arrive on the battlefield during a battle round that it would not normally be able to do so. Your unit can arrive on the battlefield as if it were in the reinforcement step. Okay. Okay, so obviously this just gives Terminators a teleport, and it's a CP. So I wonder how drop pods are going to work. I'm very interested in what this Oath of Movement is. Fury of the Fist is pretty cool. Basically, from reading it, you just ignore modifiers for ballistic skill and weapon skill to hit rolls for the Terminators. So if you're on any negative modifiers, you're just going to ignore it. So you're always going to punch something on a 3+. So yeah, Terminators are looking pretty scary. But then this literally leads into how a Storm Shield's going to work, what a Thunderhammer's going to do, what our Lightning Claw's going to do. You know, what other weapon combinations are they going to get? So many questions, but intrigued is definitely a cool thing, and they do look awesome. Now obviously these are the box set ones. The rumors are that there is a multi-part kit coming out after the box set launches, so we'll probably see them, and there'll be a lot more options. I'm really liking that the barrels are drilled out but not overly drilled out. So that'd be kind of cool. But if we're getting these options, because the flamer and the cyclone missile launcher, do they come with the options in the Leviathan box of a heavy flamer and or a cyclone missile launcher? Because that would be cool if they do. So the Intercessors also is also pretty cool. So they've got 2 wounds, which is what we expected. They're only toughness 4, leadership 6, and an OC of 2, which, if you haven't read any of the other articles and stuff, OC is basically you work out how many models are within range of the objective, and then you add up their OC score, and the person with the highest controls it. So I imagine some monsters and knights are going to have like a really quite high OC score, so you might find that they'll have 10, 5, 10, whatever. But this is kind of using Age of Sigmar as a sort of a basis for that, because it's kind of how like gargants and large monsters work in Age of Sigmar. So that's kind of good. I quite like that. Salamanders look awesome. Ooh, might have to do a salamander tutorial. So leadership. So powerful in the new edition. Your unit's morale is now gauged by the battle shock test. More Age of Sigmar lingo. Many factors can force a unit to test for battle shock, including being below half strength during the command phase, fail and they struggle to capture objectives, use stratagems, or fall back from combat. You'll also notice that the leadership now counts upwards. Our intercessor is a leadership 6+, which is equivalent to the old leadership value of an 8. So you roll 2d6 and have to score higher than a 6. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That makes sense. That makes sense. See? Bolt pistol, no AP. No AP on the bolt pistol. They seem to be reducing AP across the board. Now, although we haven't seen like chainswords and stuff, but yeah, there's no AP on these guns. He is awesome. I really like this guy. He was pretty cool. He's pretty cool. It's a nice model. Now, there are some rumours regarding Ultramarines that apparently there is going to be a box set for Tyrannic War Veterans coming. Now, at first, when I first heard this rumour, I was like, yeah, whatever. We've kind of been hearing that from like 4th edition when they first come out. But obviously, Terminators are now the major sort of bad guy of 40k. This guy is bedecked in pieces of Tyranid carapace, so it kind of makes sense that maybe Tyrannic War Veterans for the Ultramarines will be coming back, which would be kind of interesting. So he looks pretty cool, but sadly he's full boss armor. If he was in normal intercessor armor, I'd be like all for it, but he's full boss. How to build an army. So, troops are no longer counted as tax. Okay. No longer counted as tax. You know, a lot of the units, you'll actually still be seeing plenty of classic frontline show squads. So you choose a battle size, which is basically 1,000, 2,000 or 3,000 points. Wow, 3,000 points. Finding points is still perfectly possible, but of course the Warhammer Core rules are optimized for slightly larger forces than that. Of course they're larger than 1,000 points, that more than 500, because, you know, Games Workshop wants you to buy your models. And power level is gone, thank fuck. I hate power level. Confuses me that tournament players have to work out the power level and the points. Stupid. Factions are no more. Games Workshops have said, and they haven't. So here's where the difference begins to show between, instead of choosing a sub-faction or constructing your own, you will now choose a single detachment rules for your army. These include special rules, enhancements, and stratagems. So, for once, you might be playing a Gladius Task Force. Your faction gives you the Oath of Movement. Now, what I think people are missing here is, it says about sub-factions, and they're instantly jumping to the Space Marines, about all Space Marines are pretty much going to be the same. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think your faction is where you pick your Space Marine chapter. So, if you're playing Ultramarines, you'll play Ultramarines. And you'll get a page of rules for the Ultramarines. If you play Salamanders, you'll play Salamanders. Now, otherwise, like, it's going to be pretty naff, and I can't see them doing that. I can't see them doing that at all. I know it says, like, chaos is literally just chaos, but, like, yeah. And I don't think that's literally what it means. Decide your faction keyword. See, your faction keyword. I think that's the main thing that we need to take from that. Yeah, I think faction keyword is the thing that makes more sense. So, as we've all seen with how Space Marines work, and Chaos Space Marines, and Aldari, is that when you choose a sub-faction, your faction keyword changes to that sub-faction. So you may be playing Space Marines, but in commas it's always being chapter, and you change that chapter word for the sub-faction, for that chapter. So I think that's essentially what that's going to be. Yeah, you'll be playing Chaos, but you've got like 9 different flavors of Chaos. Just get, I think that's how, in my head, that's how I see that working. I don't see it as you're playing Chaos Space Marines, but you're playing the Black Legion sub-faction, and then you're playing this detachment, which is what it currently is now. I think it's literally, you're playing Black Legion, that's it. Or you're playing Ultramarines, or you're playing World Eaters. That's how I think that was going to work. Because they kind of sort of say it here as well. For instance, you might be playing a Gladius Task Force for the Adaptus Astartes. Your faction gives you the Oath of Movement army rule. More on this next week. While your detachment gives you access to 6 unique stratagems on top of the core group in the main rulebook, as well as 4 exclusive enhancements for your Space Marine characters, and it also bags you a combat doctrine ability which allows you to pick from 3 powerful doctrines during your combat phase. Now, so detachments may vary tied to any colour scheme. So while Ultramarines might be the theoretical practical masters of the Gladius Task Force, other chapters can do it too, and the same will be true for many other detachments as they add to the game. This also means that you can try multiple detachments with a single army. You're not going to be locked into a single detachment because you painted your army blue, red or yellow, which is basically kind of how it works now. Nobody really gives a shit if you've got an Ultramarines army and they're playing like Blood Angels. Your models are models. A Space Marine's a Space Marine. Doesn't matter what colour he is. The only difference is when you play unique units for those chosen chapters. So, it's perfectly feasible for me to use my World Eaters as Black Legion. I could buy other Chaos Space Marine kits and paint them red and give them icons like Havocs and Possessed and whatever. The only difference is I won't be able to use unique World Eater units like Angron, Khan, the Eggbound, because they're World Eater units. But I can still run a World Eater's army looking like a World Eater's army, but run Night Lord's rules if I really wanted to. Not that I would, because the World Eaters are awesome. But I get where they're coming from that, and I think what you're going to get is those additional rules for those chapters are going to be there with their page. The World Eaters Codex was very telling in how 10th edition was going to work. So I think this is quite a big one. I think a lot of people are sort of getting a lot of hysteria over this article for no reason. But that's typical YouTube Warhammer community. which is something I was planning on making a video about, because there seems to be, and I'm just going to say it, there's a lot of prominent YouTubers out there that will conflate an issue or something so minor into something so bigger that it isn't really an issue, but they turn it into an issue. And they've done it with the likes of the IP rules changing that Games Workshop changed, which wasn't really changed. They kind of just tightened it up legally because they were releasing their own streaming service. They did the same with the supposedly Games Workshop attacking content creators, which, quite frankly, let's be fair, they fucking didn't. They were giving them jobs. It was the Warhammer community people, as in us, the plebs, were going out attacking these content creators. There was the other one with, I remember Valrak making a video about Forge World screwing over the customers because they were changing how credit cards were charged from local currencies, which actually worked out to be better for anybody not in the UK, because we just had Brexit and the pound just took a massive shit, and it actually worked out to be more beneficial to live in America and order Forge World than it was living in England buying Forge World directly from Forge World. So they kind of take the information and just fucking blow it up to 10 times what it is. And then you get channels like Discourse Miniatures who literally shits on Games Workshop no matter what. Like, holy fuck. She is by far the most toxic content creator on this platform. By a mile. Like, I called her out when she accused Games Workshop of promoting gambling because of the Christmas ammo boxes that they were selling, which had all of the random models inside. Now, the thing is, this isn't new in the hobby. Mantic Games have been doing it for years. Steamforge Games have been doing it for years. Like, holy shit. When Steamforge started and had Guild Ball, they were doing it every year with these boxes, and you got random players in there. And, like, some of them were star players, like, proper, like, exclusive sculpts from the Kickstarter. And the only way to get these miniatures was from these random boxes. And it was just a way for them to clean out their warehouse of all the old stock that they weren't be able to sell, because it was from the old Kickstarter. And it was a good way for them to do it. Mantic did it all the fucking time. Warlord Games still do it to this day. Yet Games Workshop does it, and she calls them out on it straight away, because she's a dick. Oh, she's very hard. And for anybody who's watching this back, who's not from Northern Ireland, I apologise from all of the hobbyists here in Northern Ireland that you have to put up with her on the internet, because she's a fucking fucktard. And I hope that gets back to her, because fuck you. Like, seriously, she is the most toxic content creator on this platform. Absolutely horrendous. Horrendous. But anyway, we'll get back to the point. Rant over. There we go. We should call Tuesdays Pointy Rants. Tom would like that. So, here we go. So, picking units, right? So, this is pretty much Age of Sigmar, kind of in a nutshell. So, you pick a character. You can have maximum of one epic hero. And now, epic heroes, I think, is how they're going to label unique characters. So, Kharn, Angron, Gilliman, obviously, because there's a picture of him there. All of the named characters in the game are going to be epic heroes, because that's essentially what they are. And I think you're limited to one, which is exactly what they are now. They're unique. You can only have one Kharn the Betrayer in your army, because there is only one Kharn the Betrayer. The rule of 3 is good. I like that it's still in. So up to 3 data slates of 1 unit. So you want to take Terminators, you can have a maximum of 3. Now, here's the caveat. Up to 6 battle line units. I'm going to call this now. If you play Dark Angels and you take Belial as your warlord, I guarantee you, in the back of the book, on the little pointy things that they're going to do, because that's what Age of Sigmar does, and they're going to do the same thing for 40k, you'll have a little bracket down the back, and it will tell you what they are: unique, epic, hero, whatever, battle line, blah 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 blah. When you get to Terminators or Deathwing Terminators for the Dark Angels, under Belial at the very end, it'll say, if Belial's your general, boom, they'll become battle line. Samiel will do the exact same for Outriders. If you take White Scars, I guarantee they'll have a rule that will say Outriders become battle line if you take a White Scars army. The new Flamey unit, which is kind of cool. We've all seen them. The Black Templars already have a guy in the squad, but there's a squad of those guys coming. I wouldn't be surprised if the Salamanders don't get those as battle line. Because, you know, Salamanders, Flamers, they love that shit. So, it's not... You're not going to be restricted as much. I think your character, i.e. your Warlord, is going to open up new options. Exactly like Age of Sigmar does right now. Exactly like Age of Sigmar. And your sub-faction, because I don't think they're going to get rid of chapters, chapter rules, because Age of Sigmar has them. You have a page of army rules. You have a page of enhancements and stuff like that. And you have a page of slimmed down rules, additional rules for like your army that you're going to play. So you play your Metrica for the Lumineth Realm Lords, you'll get that rule. You know, Hammers of Sigmar for the Stormcast Eternals, you get a 5+ ward save while wholly within 12 inches of an objective. That's your rule. And that, I think that's how it's going to work. But in the points bit at the back, if you take certain characters, it'll say these are battle line in a Metrica army, these are battle line in a Hammers of Sigmar army, whatever. And I think that is how they're going to do it for 10th edition. Going to call that now. I think that's exactly how they're going to do it. You can include up to 6 units on each with a battle line or dedicated transport keyword. Now this is the one that I'm a little bit worried about. You can include up to 6 units of each datasheet with the battle line or dedicated transport. Now, I'm hoping what that means is if I take a tactical squad, I can also take a Rhino transport or drop pod with that for that squad, and it doesn't take out of my transports. Evening, sub-faction rules will be determined by detachment, and by detachment I mean Army of Renown, and that is how they will restrict your army composition. Probably. I think they'll probably do it more like Age of Sigmar. Literally, they'll do it more. I think they'll do it more like Age of Sigmar. But it depends on how in depth they go. If it's going to be like the Disciples of the Red Angel for the World Eaters, that could be interesting. But then that's what? How many pages are the Space Marines going to get? They're going to get what? About 5 or 6, an extra 12 pages for the chapter rules, essentially. But that's the only thing I'm not overly too sure on how it's going to work, is this battle line or dedicated transport keyword. Because the way that's worded, it kind of implies that if you have 3 troops and three troops and 3 transports, that's your 6 battle line taken. I think it would be more like Heresy Rites of War. They're pretty open-ended, dude. They're like, if you take this, you can't have this. That's like pretty open-ended. And they're well into being open for abuse. But yeah, I think you select your Warlord. There's some nice changes. I will. What? Seriously? Games Workshop, stop trying to sell Cursed City because it's dead. It's a dead game. You fucking killed it. Although I may or may not have Gotrek. Yeah, I think I do and I don't. The thing is, and this is the problem with Games Workshop. At the beginning of 9th edition, we had the interviews with all of the devs, and they were like, "Yeah, this edition you're going to have less books, and it's going to be you're going to do this, and like no more. You're going to see your tanks killed in the first turn of a battle, and all of this crap, and all of this." And within 6 months, we had tanks getting nuked on turn 1. We had like fucking 4 or 5 books per army. The ship was just running wild, and 9th edition has been no different. So I generally take everything with a really big grain of salt up until we actually see what we're doing at least a year into it, because I can guarantee you now, within 18 months of us getting into this next edition, they will have probably already changed how they're running the edition. And we've seen it time and time and time and time and time again. Every fucking time they do this, every time they say the same thing, and every time they go back on what they say and just do something completely fucking different. Does everyone remember 7th edition, where we had really cool force organization charts, and we got likes of the Blood Angel and the Leviathan stuff with all of these cool force organization charts, and they were really thematic. I mean, I remember getting the Blood Angel book, and it had a fucking load of them, and my army could be played in a myriad of different ways. And then the Necrons come out with the new fucking Decurion system, and every army from that point got those Decurion systems. And it went from force organization charts to basically stupid detachments that were restrictive, had taxes, and made you buy more models to be able to play your army. So, as much as this sounds cool, and as open-ended as it does sound, and kind of freeing and less restrictive, I'm not going to completely buy into what they're trying to sell me until at least 12 months into the edition, because by that point we'll have had at least a good chunk of codexes have come out, and we'll have a good idea of exactly how they're actually running the system, what the army compositions are going to be like, and what stupid stuff are they throwing into it without us actually being told about it. So are we going to get campaign books 6 months down the line with a whole host of new detachments and rules that we were told that we were never going to need? At the end of the day, Games Workshop makes models, they make books, and that's where they make the most of the money from. And the marketing department pretty much tell the designers what they have to do. We all know that, and I think that's what they're probably going to go and run with. But hey, they never know. They might change track, and they might actually preach and do what they're fucking saying. Time will tell, I guess. So far, I'm personally, I enjoy Age of Sigmar, and it's why I enjoy playing Age of Sigmar more than 40k, is because Age of Sigmar doesn't have as much bullshit. It has bullshit, but it doesn't have as much bullshit as what 40k does. I can get my battle tome, I can get the General's Handbook, and I can sit there and go, cool, this is what I need to do, this is how I need to play my army, and I can go away and play without massively going, right, okay, so I need to know what that campaign book over there does, I need to know what that does, and I need to know what this over there does as too, and it's just, fuck it, it's just too much information. And there's a lot of things that I hope, personally, that they don't do with 10th edition. I hope they make the scoring for games, for tournaments, match play, a lot easier, because right now it's fucking stupid and I don't like it. And Pete will pretty much laugh at me now, but I don't get it. I really don't. It's like, you're going to get me to score at the beginning of my turn, in your turn, the end of my turn, during my turn. Like, what the fuck? Just seriously, just at the end of my turn, how many points have I got? How many objectives have I got? How many kill points have I got? Whatever. Like, it's not infinity. Infinity is crazily complicated. 40k is an infinity, so just don't fucking do it. And I really hope that they pull that back and make it a little bit more like Age of Sigmar. You hold one, you hold two, you hold more. You get your battle tactic, you got your grand strategy at the end. Job done, fanny's your hand. At the moment, it's just, Like that game I had with Tom against the Gene Stealers with my World Eaters a couple of weeks ago. I just charged forward and killed things and rolled dice and giggled while I killed things and things died. And I had a great old time. I had no idea what the score was until the end. He literally went, "You are winning 56-16." And I was like, no fucking idea. No idea. Because, yeah, I didn't get it. Didn't get it at all. So, I'm hoping that they sort that, at least sort that out. That boarding action for the Votan is actually quite nice. Because it's not bad. He's pretty cool. It's cool that it's him and not a Carl, which is kind of nice. The Berserkers are really good, and then your Terminator guys at the back are really, really cool. And then your Warriors. But, you know, in this edition, you're not going to need to bring Warriors. You can bring those lovely bikes. But obviously that'll depend on points and stuff like that. This is an interesting box because these guys don't have a faction. Like, and they don't have a codex. So, like, how's this going to work? And how does it work and who do they work for? And what codex are they going to be in? I mean, is this like an Agents of the Imperium kind of teaser that they're doing without actually telling us? Because, like, there's a lot of stuff in here that, like just doesn't have a codex. Like, there's all the naval crew, unless the Imperial Navy are literally getting their own codex, which would be kind of awesome. But you've got the Imperial Navy guys at the back. You've got the Assassin, which is interesting. And then you've got the Rogue Trader and his cool stuff. Like, is this a Rogue Trader codex? Is it an Imperial Navy codex? Is it an Agents of the Imperium? It's like, you know, what is this? So, it's, yeah, interesting box that I'd be intrigued to see what they do with. Oh yeah, what's the rumor? Wow, that doesn't look Undead or Death Guard much. Looking at that, I'm going to think that that's either a Nurgle model or that is an Undead model. Now, the fact that we haven't seen or heard of anything from the Flesh Eater Courts, that could be a Flesh Eater Court model. Could potentially be a Nurgle themed warband for Underworlds. But that's too undead. There's too much of... Yeah, that looks too undead to be... Yeah, I think that's undead. Potentially Flesh Eater Courts. Nurgle Underworlds. Yeah, could we? Yeah. It's either Nurgle or It's either Nurgle or undead. It's one or the other. Yeah. Interesting. But yeah, that's Stormcaster so getting a new book very shortly. So getting a new book. 100% they're getting a new book. I've painted a lot of Nurgle size. That's Nurgle. Probably right, mate. They're probably right. But Nurgle, be cool. But that's definitely a new Stormcast Eternals book coming. Definitely a new Stormcast Eternals book. Because these guys are like new wizardy people. And they're Thunderstrike wizardy people. And I think there's the weekly magazine, and it showed you a picture of a load of Stormcast Eternals. And there's a couple of models there that don't currently have rules in the new Stormcast Eternal book. So I wouldn't be surprised if that that isn't a thing. And there's what, 2 books that we know are coming this year, and there's 1 book that we 100% know needs updated, which is Flesh Eater Courts. There's then 1 other book out of all of the books, 1 other book that's been shown that's coming either alongside Seraphon or in that period of time, or when the new Cities of Sigmar book comes. So the sort rumors are it's a new Stormcast Eternals book. Which makes sense, because by that point every book will be updated for 3rd edition, and we'll probably get another Stormcast Eternals book, because they're like Space Marines for Age of Sigmar. But unless that's a completely other new faction that we've not seen before, I can't see them introducing 2 new factions to Age of Sigmar. Well, Cities of Sigmar is not really a new faction. It's kind of an update of an existing faction, but kind of with their own model range. So yeah, Stormcast Eternals are definitely getting a new book, and it's definitely coming this year, 100%. He is really cool, very zitchy. Other than that, there's not really anything else to sort of wamble on about. Yeah, there's not much to really wamble on about. Lionel Johnson is looking pretty cool though. His rules are pretty fandangly. I'm more interested to know how they did that armor, because looking at that looks like a teal that they've used in like an Incubi Darkness. It's like an Incubi Darkness down here, and then it's potentially Cybright Green. But yeah, it's like you can kind of see it there. There's like a Carbolite green on that. So it's like an Incubi Darkness armor. But accidentally leaked that. I have covered the Terminators. Yeah, I did that straight away, man. I'm intrigued about them. There's some interesting things here. Like this 4-up invulnerable save as a base, pretty impressive. Toughness 5, 2-up save, gnarly. Ignoring hit modifiers for ballistic skill and weapon skill for Fury of the First. Which is kind of interesting. That kind of implies that there's also going to be negative modifiers applied to your units for hitting. So is that going to be cover? Is that going to be like army-wide rules? So like Death Guard, maybe -1 to hit if you're within a certain range of them. Stuff like that. And it kind of sort of hints at what Oath of Movement is. So in addition, each time a model with this unit makes an attack that targets the enemy unit you have selected for an Oath of Moment ability this turn, add 1 to the hit rolls. So I'm kind of getting from that Oath of Moments is that you kind of pick units to kill and you'll gain something from it, I presume. But your Terminators are going to be +1 to hit against them. It's kind of cool. Power Fist hitting on the 2s. It's kind of scary. Yeah, exactly. Like, Custodians are probably going to be what? Toughness 6? 2-up save, 4-up invulnerable save. Plague Guard, Death Guard Terminators are probably going to at least be toughness 6. Yeah, that's scary. One of the things that I've noticed from this article, as well as the one about the intercessors, is the sheer lack of AP on the weapons. Like the assault cannon doesn't have AP, the storm bolter doesn't have AP, the bolt pistols don't have AP, the frag missile launchers don't have AP. Crack missile launchers are what, like strength 9 AP2, but it's like strength 9. Wow, that's mental. So yeah, it's pretty nuts. How does that work? Sorry, I was just looking at something there. OBS is being a bit weird, and then I looked at my chart and I was like, how have I got -1 viewers? How does that work? There's no one watching, then it should just say 0. Surely. Weird. This is good if they keep it consistent with it. Yes, but will they? Again, it goes back to the old point of, you know, are the Eldari going to come out with like all of this AP and damage to weapons to kill Space Marines? Are the Orcs going to come out with crazy damage buffs to essentially kill Space Marines? Like, you know, it's crazy. I want to believe that they're going to stick to the sort of the plan that they've originally got, but personally, I don't think they'll do it. I think they'll just fuck around like they always do. But there's a lot of things that I'm intrigued about. Like, the rapid fire is basically the same. Anti-weapons sounds pretty cool. So infantry, monster, and vehicle. But what the hell's a critical wound? I actually think that's going to be a mortal wound. Potentially. Why am I getting PMs? Cool. But yeah. And teleport homers are a core 1 CP. So tomorrow we're going to find out what Ortham movements are. Which is cool. Looking forward to seeing what Ortham movements are, to be fair. So yes, this is what Tuesday night streams are going to be from now on. We're going to be sitting chatting about the hobby, bitching about people. I'll try not to rant about discuss miniatures too much. Can't. But yeah. So if you've got any cool ideas for what I could call this segment, then I'll do that. But just fire it down in the comment section and below. Critical wound is an unmodified dice result wound no matter what the toughness of the opponent is. Think of it like the old Jakari poison. Interesting. Could that not just be a mortal wound? Because they're lazy like that? But that means Chain Fists are going to be doing critical wounds on 3+ against vehicles. That's kind of bonkers. So yeah. But Sunday stream we're going to be continue working on Azrael. Working on that display project. I'm probably not going to be doing Dark Angels. Probably. I will be getting the Lion. I probably won't be doing the Dark Angels. I've got my ticket sorted for the Irish GT in August. So I'm going to be painting a lot of Lumineth from now until then, because I need a 2,000 point army up and running for them, which is cool. And obviously, if you check my Instagram, you'll be able to see one of the ones that I've done. It's there in the cabinet behind me. You can just make Angron out. So yeah, I will be doing a tutorial on the Cathalar, this chicka lady here, and I'm going to be doing transparent cloth. I think it's going to be kind of awesome. And I've got a gore video. I'm just waiting for my Blood for the Blood God to arrive, and then I'm going to finish Angron off and do the gore effect on his axe and dripping down and all that kind of cool stuff. So that'll be a pretty cool video. It's going to be coming up too. So there's quite a bit done, and I'm very tempted to do a heavy metal style video series on Space Marine successor chapters that don't really get the love, and like, because I was googling it today, and there's a lot of them, like a lot of them, and they don't really get a lot of love at all. Like, not really. There's quite a lot. And I was just going through, and there's a lot of them that don't get a lot of love, because it always seems to be the big four. It always seems to be Dark Angels, Blood Angels, Space Wolves, and Ultramarines. That's kind of get the sort of the attention from content creators. So I'm thinking, like, just go through and find some cool looking successor chapters to do videos on. And there's quite a lot. I mean, there's like, I think there's charts upon charts of where they all come from and stuff. So I think that might be a cool series to do. But yeah, but if you've got anything that you would like to see me do, you know, just fire it in a comment on one of the videos, and I'll take note. But we are almost up for the hour, so, and I mean, I work all day. I need a fresh brew. So it's been an interesting stream doing it like this. Kind of enjoyed it. It's been fun. So thank you very much for everyone who kept me company, chatted away, chatted. Pete, Kyle, BM, cheers. And yeah, I'm going to go and get some cream on my tattoo and make myself a brew and chill out and build some elves. So I have lots of elves to build. Need to get her ready for her tutorial. So yeah, and then hopefully tomorrow we'll have some stuff to look at. And what I'll kind of do is, rather than do it on a Sunday, because I think Sunday's stream, by the time I've actually finished going over everything on the Warhammer page and then get down to painting, I'm already like 20-30 minutes into the stream, and then I end up streaming for like an hour and a half. And like, YouTube doesn't really like really long videos, and essentially streams are really long videos. They don't really get you much. Like, if I could do a 12-hour stream, but it's not going to guarantee me 12-hour views, because nobody's going to sit there and watch for 12 hours. They'll skip forward and get bored after 10 minutes. So trying to keep them to about an hour is kind of what I want, an hour and a half. But I would rather paint for an hour and a half than talk for half an hour and then paint for an hour. So I'm going to maybe keep the Warhammer roundup to Tuesday night streams. Maybe that might be a cool thing of sort of calling it, but we'll see. But either way, there's some weeks there may not be 2 videos coming. I know I want a video out on a Friday and a Monday, but some of the videos that I've got planned may take me longer to do, because there's a lot more painting involved and a lot more editing. So I will aim to have a video out every week. Every Friday there will be a video out. The Monday video, it'll either be a small painting video, like a power sword or gemstones or stuff like that. or something along the lines of is Warhammer Plus worth subscribing to, or are there too many dickheads in the Warhammer community making YouTube content like Discourse Miniatures? Is Valrak a secret Iron Warriors player? He actually is. He has a very large Iron Warriors army. I've seen it. Is Major Kill a knob? Probably. Does Pete cheat? 100% he does. I've caught him doing it. He has dodgy dice that only ever rolls 5s and 6s. The entire club are onto him. Heard it here first. So, yeah, stuff like that. So, it's all cool. But I am going to call the stream here because I want to get her ready and I want to make a brew and I want to chill. And I will be back Sunday at about 7 o'clock for DP Sundays, where we'll be continuing more of Azrael, finishing off the robes, and then starting on the power armor. There is going to be a YouTube video for his power sword. That will probably come Friday, and yeah. So, and then the long one will probably be her, but I'm going to try to fit in a Crimson Fist video. So yeah. So thank you very much, and yeah. So if you haven't subscribed, liked, ring the bell, you know the score, you know the thing, do the thing, and then I'll see you on Sunday. So see you later, everybody. Goodbye.